Mastering presentations at work isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. It transforms how people see you, commands belief, and earns respect. With this course, I want to make presenting your superpower. We'll explore how to convey your ideas in a way that resonates, impacts, and drives action. Step by step, we'll craft a presentation from planning to delivery that will grow your confidence and be a game changer for your career. This course is about unlocking the most powerful and confident version of you. My name is Spencer, and I've spent 15 years coaching people just like you to turn presenting and speaking into an unfair career advantage. Should we get started? You've been told that next week you'll be presenting your quarterly digital marketing update to the CMO. You haven't presented to her before, nor do you have much time to get it prepared. So what do you do? This course is going to walk you through step by step how you can build your presentation, tailor your messages, build your reputation as a trusted advisor, and deliver a presentation that persuades your audience. I recommend opening a document where you can follow along and start planning a presentation that you need to do in the future. Let's start with the two most important questions we need to ask when starting a project such as this. Who's it for and what's it for? Let's start with who's it for? Well, it's for our CMO, but who is she? What does she believe? What is she expecting? Have you ever paused to think about what a typical day looks like for a senior executive? Her inbox is exploding, her calendar is packed with back-to-back meetings, and in those meetings, everybody wants her to make a decision, to greenlight something, to give the next steps, or to give advice. She is time poor, she needs to context switch all day, and she has to make decisions based on little information. In the middle of that busy day, in one of those many 30-minute meetings, you will be given your quarterly digital marketing update. How can you cut through the noise of her day? How can you boost the signal of your messages and reduce the unnecessary noise? In short, it's about empathy. Ask yourself, if I knew what she did, wanted what she wanted, had to experience what she experiences, then what story and messages would resonate with me? Well, she might want key messages and insights clearly communicated because she is time poor, your campaign results connected to broader company goals, such as revenue, clear, actionable insights rather than just data, a focus on outcomes such as lead generation and customer acquisition, and a clear ask with recommendations for a preferred option. The second piece is what's it for? Yes, it's to give an update on what you've been doing and will do, but why have you been asked to do it? You want to be seen as a trusted advisor. So what do you need to communicate? It could be one or a multiple of these things. How well are campaigns doing against KPIs? Strategic insights into customer behaviors, potential risks or challenges, and which activity has yielded the best return on investment. And maybe you want to prove that your campaigns need more budget next year. For our presentation, let's go with which activity has yielded the best return on investment and should receive more or less budget allocation next quarter. Now's a good time to pause and take a moment and get clarity on who's it for and what's it for. Write it in your document. It will make deciding what you put in your presentation much easier. We've all suffered from a presentation full of cheesy stock images. You know the ones I mean. At best, they make your audience bored, and at worst, they destroy the credibility of the message and you as the presenter. I don't know about you, but I've never done that in an office in all my many years of working. By investing a relatively short amount of time in finding emotive and powerful images, we can take our message from great to mind-blowing. This video will help you understand how to search for choose and maybe even edit an image for maximum impact. By using the word authentic after our main image keyword, we can find some great images. Let's look at an example. If we go into an image library and type in authentic meeting, we'll see images like this. Now we start to get images that look a lot more like the kind of meetings that I find myself in. These images will help my audience better connect to the topic and me as the presenter. They look like the kind of meetings I'd actually be in. We can also have fun with it. It doesn't always have to be serious. Who hasn't had a meeting in the last year and a half that suddenly had a cameo appearance from somebody's pet? Now let's have a look at how we can edit an image for impact. Let's imagine we need an image to go with the word innovation. I do a search in the library and we can get this image of an egg with a bright light shining out of it. It does a pretty good job of portraying innovation. Now, if I put it in a slide and add the title, something like Customer Video's Big Innovation, it doesn't look too impressive. We can do 3 simple things to make it much more impactful. First, we'll expand the image to cover the whole slide. It already looks a lot better. Next, we can crop the image to make the egg look much bigger. So big, in fact, that it looks like it's bursting out the top of the slide. Third, we can increase the size of the text, big, to make it big. Now, the image and the text has a lot more impact with just those 3 small changes. By spending some extra time, you can significantly improve the power and impact of your images. Remember, the right image doesn't just complement your message, it can actually create a wow moment around a key message, elevating it from boring to unforgettable. Finding images for our presentation can be a huge time suck. Hunting for images in an image bank is not a fast task if you want to get an image that is authentic, powerful, and fits with your presentation topic. These days, it seems that AI could be the answer to finding really great images in just a few minutes and for a very low cost. However, whilst that is the dream, the reality is that creating images with AI is still hard, and many times we don't get great images without a lot of work and experimentation. For example, it's still not great at generating people's faces or making things look real, but used properly can give you access to some great images at low cost and incredibly fast. Let's look at how you can use ChatGPT to make awesome pictures for your presentations. The prompt is the key to success with image generation in AI, the same as it is for everything else. We need to spend some time and effort here really describing what we want from the image. We're going to need an image for our presentation that communicates our key message of protecting $1 million of revenue. Let's create an image of a man holding a padlock. Remember, the higher level of detail you give, the better. Intro. Please generate 3 different images that portray the following. Purpose of the image: to create a professional and high-tech representation of digital security. Subject description: a business person dressed in a dark modern suit with a crisp white shirt and stylish tie. Action or pose: the subject stands with a confident posture, hands outstretched in front, cupping something valuable. Objects and symbols: a large glowing digital padlock symbol representing cybersecurity. Setting and background: gradient background of cool blue tones to convey a sense of corporate professionalism. Atmosphere and mood: the image should have a soft and diffused overall lighting with a slight focus on the hands and the padlock. Perspective and composition: the subject should be on the left of the frame with the head not visible to maintain focus on the hands and the padlock. The subject should take up 30% of the image space, the remainder being background only. Special effects: the padlock should have a transparent holographic quality. Color scheme and theme: cool blue tones, professional and clean design. Exclusions: exclude any distracting elements that do not contribute to the theme of security and professionalism. Now you can just copy this into ChatGPT and ask it to create the image. The chances are you won't get what you want from the first time around, so you'll need to play with altering parameters in the prompt. Another way to try this is to find an image that is similar or in the direction of what you want and ask ChatGPT to analyze the image and write a prompt for it. Then you can see what it generates. So where does this leave us? Well, hunting for the perfect presentation image is still a bit of a journey. And while AI is super promising, it's not a magic fix yet. There's still no quick solution to finding a powerful image that will be a strong addition to your presentation that will create both an emotional connection and explain something to your audience. I'm sticking with traditional image banks for now, but you bet I'm keeping an eye on AI. This tech is moving fast and it's only going to get better. I'm experimenting all the time with AI image generation, as I suspect it will be exponentially better in a short space of time. Give it a go. Carve out some time when you're not under pressure and just play with creating images. It's fun and you never know what you might create. Your body speaks volumes before you even say a word. Non-verbal cues, including posture, gestures, and facial expressions, play a role in audience engagement. They can enhance attention, convey confidence, and add clarity to your message. Mastering your body language when you present is a bit like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears story, when Goldilocks tried the bear's porridge. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right. We need to not stand there like a statue, but also not pace up and down as if we're running a 100-meter sprint. We need the movement of body language to keep attention, to help us reinforce our messages, burn off anxious energy, and to engage the audience. In this video, we'll explore how to use body language strategically to make your presentations more impactful and persuasive, ensuring your audience not only hears, but feels your message. Let's start with our hands. Keep hand movements to a 1 meter by 1 meter square box if you're presenting in a room. If your arms go outside of this, then it starts to get distracting for your audience. The same applies for virtual presenting. Make sure your camera view shows enough of you that you can use your hands, but not to the point where they look too big or too much. Just focus on using your hands in a way that feels natural, has movement to it, but not too much so that it's distracting. Don't stand with your hands in your pocket or behind you. It's always better to have them on our front facing the audience. You want to look alert, with energy and passion, and with a sense of movement about you. You can also use your hands to reinforce things you say. For example, if you're going to say, I'm going to give you 3 points, you can hold up 3 fingers to visualize the words that you're saying. Or if you say, sales have skyrocketed this quarter, then you can move your hand upwards to visualize that growth. Again, don't worry about getting it perfect. It's a journey. Play with it and find what works for you. In the beginning, definitely record yourself to see what it looks like. You'll soon get a feel for if it's too much or not at all. Don't be afraid to move a bit from where you're standing. If we're presenting in a board or a meeting room, this will be limited, but you can always go and point to something on a screen to make a point and then come back to the place where you've been talking from. The point is not to stand glued to the exact same spot right from the beginning. Again, the focus needs to be on slow, relaxed movement and not to the extent that it feels distracting for people. You want your audience to focus on what you're saying and not what you're doing. Using hand gestures and movement effectively helps amplify your message and to connect with your audience. Aim for being relaxed and balanced. Use it when making key points without being too distracting. Practice will refine your style, and over time, you'll find your own personal way of using hands and movement when presenting. Engaging virtual audiences isn't just about delivering the content. In the world of video, it's much easier for our audiences to multitask or lose attention, and also for our performance to look subdued because the camera captures a flattened version of reality. We need to understand how people's attention spans work and how video affects this. So let's make sure your audience pays attention to you and that your messages are both understood and acted upon. There is a myth about our attention spans being really short. It's not true, because ask yourself, how is it then that you can go to the movies or watch a Netflix special and not move a muscle for hours? Well, Hollywood figured out something much quicker than the rest of us. Movement is the gateway to attention. When you are presenting on video, you need to think like a Hollywood film producer. Hollywood uses things like short scene lengths, jump cuts, and shaky camera movements to keep us glued to the screen. When presenting, we need to ensure that the format changes often, that nothing is static too long on the screen. This is how we ensure engagement. We need to make sure that we use the movement of our body and facial expressions, that we don't have any slide on the screen that is static for too long. Instead of lots of content on one slide, split it into 5 slides. Also, that we switch it up between videos, polls, questions, conversation. Let's start with our performance and what I call the 20% rule. We need to increase everything by 20%. Hand movements, our voice, like I mentioned in an earlier video, and facial expressions. The camera acts as a filter. What it captures is this flattened version of reality. That means to truly connect with your audience, you need to dial up your delivery by about 20%. That's what I'm doing now to create this video course. We need to ensure our energy and expressions and voice carry through to your audience just as powerfully as they would in person. So how do we do it? The best way that I found is to give myself a lot of energy in the moments before I present. Music is a great way to do that. My go-to track is Imagine Dragons on Top of the World. I put it on repeat for 5 to 10 minutes before I go live, and I dance around and sing and act silly. It really puts me in a good place. Then I need to exaggerate my movements and facial expressions. This takes practice because it will feel strange to begin with. Increasing your body movement doesn't mean pacing around or speed. It's about using deliberate gestures to emphasize your points. Nodding, using your hands, leaning in. These actions will keep the attention of the audience. Okay, next, you want to think about how to plan for many different types of formats in your presentation. We have already spoken about conversational presenting, and it also applies here. When someone asks you to give a 20-minute presentation, it doesn't mean a 20-minute PowerPoint. Start with questions and then maybe a story and then maybe a discussion and then maybe present something and then show a video. Maybe use a digital whiteboard like Miro or a video tool like Prezi Video to have content on the screen with you. You want to make sure that during the 20 minutes, you have a range of stimulus for the audience. Remember, if you want to keep your audience's attention online, think like a movie director. Mix it up, move, use your face and hands more, and change what's on the screen often. Your goal is to involve your audience. Ask questions, tell stories, show videos, make it a conversation, not a lecture. That's how you'll really connect. Ready to give it a go? You got this. I gave a keynote presentation at a marketing conference recently. When I finished and left the stage, the first question I received was, "Spencer, how can you be so confident on the stage?" My reply was, well, I arrived here 2 days ago and spent all of yesterday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. practicing my presentation until I couldn't bear to hear the words anymore. Then this morning when I woke up at 6 a.m. and practiced a few more times until I had to leave to come here. Then I knew the presentation inside out and can focus on the audience more when I talk. Practicing your presentation is critical if you want to give a great performance and feel confident. I'm going to share with you my process for gearing up for a presentation in a meeting or a conference or a Zoom call that will help you rehearse effectively. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it. You want to set aside time to be able to practice your talk at least 8 times. Yes, I know you're busy and I know it's not reasonable, and that's the point. It's a true power move in making you a great communicator. I start rehearsing once my script or outline is done. Part of my process of getting the outline is to practice the talk when it's really rough, as this helps it get it into my words and style and tone. You will need to refer to your outline or look at the presentation screen a bit. This is fine and part of the process. I'm not trying to memorize word for word, as that is a dangerous strategy, as if you forget on stage, it's hard to get back. You want to aim for getting the flow, topics, and main points to feel like second nature. Once I have the presentation design down, it's time to lock myself in a room and speak out loud the presentation. It feels rough, but that's fine. Keep going. You'll find that you want to make some changes to the flow or certain parts of the presentation as you do this. This is great and will improve it. After practicing the talk 3 or 4 times, it will start to feel good. Now, with the next couple of practices, I'm aiming to get through the whole thing smoothly, without any script or outline, and feeling like I have it in my mind. Then I switch to practicing the transitions. This can be moving from one topic to another, or even between slides. But practicing the transitions can really help with memorizing the flow of the talk. By now, it's starting to feel comfortable. Then I will record myself. Yes, I know it's horrible. We all hate seeing ourselves, but you're not going to show it to anyone. But it gives you a lot of insights into how you look and what are you doing with your hands, as well as spotting any ums and ers. By the way, to get rid of filler words, a pro tip is to raise your voice by 20% so it's out of your natural range. First of all, this makes for a better level for the audience anyhow, in a room or especially over video, but raising your voice 20% also eliminates filler words. Finally, I practice a few times with music or the TV on to distract me to really check if the talk is cemented in my mind. Once you can do the talk with a distraction going on, you're in a great place. Even if you suddenly go blank 20 minutes before you present, don't worry. It's all in your mind. Just trust in the process and the practice that you have done. Another pro tip to always remember the first 2 minutes is to borrow from a memory champion technique called memory palaces. Visualize a post-it note on your apartment front door with the first 3 things that you need to talk about. If you suddenly go blank in the minutes before showtime, you can easily visualize your front door and the post-it note. If this talk is high stakes and really important to you, then you might want to ask someone to be a test audience and get some feedback. This serves as more practice time as well as seeing how it lands with other people. Finally, remember to do a tech check of everything before you go live. If you are speaking at a conference, then go meet the AV team ahead of time, thank them and make sure everything is good with your presentation. If you're presenting virtually, then check everything before showtime. Remember, it's about rigorous preparation and practice to fine-tune your delivery. Every step you take is a building block towards delivering a flawless presentation. The key to a great performance lies not just in what you say, but in how well prepared you are to say it. By embracing these strategies, you'll not only enhance your speaking skills, but also connect more effectively with your audience, leaving a lasting impression. So take these tips, practice with purpose, and step onto the stage with confidence. You got this. You can conquer your fear of public speaking once and for all. The reason I'm so sure is because it's our biology at work, which means we're all the same and we know how to manage it. We have 8 core emotions, and fear is one of our 5 survival emotions. Emotions are actually experienced as physical reactions in our body. What happens when we experience fear? Well, sweaty palms, fast heartbeat, dry mouth, ring any bells? Behind the scenes, a part of our brain called the amygdala alerts our nervous system, which releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. We can never completely remove that feeling of being nervous, and that's a good thing, but we can manage it and make it less powerful. So let's talk about the 2 main ways you can do this. The first is experience, and the second is positive self-talk. Before we jump in, I want to point out that there is no quick solution to managing our nerves or our fear. It's a worthy pursuit, and the victory is secured in the trenches of practice. Okay, let's start with experience. Like any fear, wasps, spiders, heights, flying, the way to overcome it is through exposure. Do the thing that scares you until it doesn't. That's how I overcame my fear of speaking and learned to manage my nerves. You need to find as many opportunities to get up in front of people and speak. When I joined Prezi back in 2014, I decided that I wanted to become a keynote speaker. I made a mistake in the beginning and climbed onto a stage at a big conference to speak in front of 300 people. It was a very traumatic experience, but I learned a lot about myself and what I needed to do. So I used the Meetup app and started asking event organizers if I could come and talk to their group about storytelling. I spent 2 years talking at least once a month to groups of people from 20 to 50 people. It was an amazing experience that got me invited to company and industry conferences. My confidence grew with that experience. The second tool in the toolbox we have for confidence is positive self-talk. By repeating and reminding ourselves why we are excited about this talk or presentation or meeting, we can significantly reduce how nervous we feel. In those moments when we feel nervous before a talk, our brain is really good at making us think it's going to go wrong and who am I to be doing this? Imposter syndrome kicks in and we spiral down a really negative path that makes us feel terrible. However, emotions are physical, remember? Have you ever stopped to think about what we feel when we're excited? Fast heartbeat, adrenaline, racing heart, exactly the same physical symptoms as when we are scared. So, by telling our conscious mind to interpret those subconscious physical manifestations as excitement, we can rewire our brain over time to see it as excitement. I always tell myself before a stage talk, hey, maybe I can help people succeed in their job more. Or if it's before a big meeting in my company, hey, maybe this will help me be seen as a trusted advisor. Find what excites you about the talk and focus your mind on this. Again, it's not a one-time and done type thing. You need to do it over and over again. But every time you feel the negative thoughts rise up, focus on what excites you. Conquering the fear of public speaking is a journey of understanding your biology and harnessing it to your advantage. Through experience and positive self-talk, you can transform anxiety into excitement, turning each speaking opportunity into a step towards confidence. Remember, there's no overnight fix. It's a process of practice and mindset adjustment. By embracing your experiences and reframing your thoughts, you'll not only manage your nerves, but also unlock your potential to inspire and engage any audience. Keep pushing your limits. Focus on excitement and watch as your fear turns into your strength. You're capable of more than you think. It's time to believe in your voice and let the world hear it. Have you ever wondered why some presentations leave a lasting impact, compelling you to action, while others fade from memory almost immediately? The secret might not lie in the content, but in the emotional connection and the trust you instill. So let's talk about how to engage hearts before minds, ensuring your message doesn't just reach your audience, but moves them. Emotion plus trust equals decision. The late Zig Ziglar used to say, people buy on emotion and justify on logic. It's true, and it's exactly the same when you're going to present to your CMO. My whole worldview changed when I understood that emotions and feelings are two different things. We only have 8 emotions, and they are physical and happen unconsciously. We have hundreds of feelings that are conscious, and it's our modern brain, our cerebral cortex, that is interpreting physical manifestations of an emotion in the body. Think of the emotions as the primary colors, and the feelings are the multitude of colors you can get from mixing the emotions. Emotions come first. When you walk into that room to present, many things can be happening unconsciously. How you are dressed, how they see you and know you. Maybe your CMO has had a bad day or a bad meeting earlier. Maybe they already feel that you're going to pitch for more budget and feel protective. This is why we want to focus on moving the emotion in the room to a positive one. We covered this in an earlier video about using surprise. The same goes when we start our presentation. We want to tap into the emotional need of the CMO. Safety from risk, excitement of a new or protected revenue, status with the CEO or board. What do they want at a gut level? Low risk, high reward, basic things, primal things. This is why we choose an emotional North Star message like $1 million of revenue protected. It does things to the CMO at an unconscious level that are powerful. But then, very quickly, the CMO's brain kicks into rational mode. Do I trust this person? Can they do what they say they can? What proof do I have? What evidence can they show me? This is why we use structures to get across information in a way where emotion comes first and then proof and evidence come second to build trust. The pyramid structure we spoke about in the conversational presenting video does this very well. The North Star message and the key messages are all about emotional response. Then we have data and results to back it up to build trust. So in your presentation, you always want to go for an emotional response at the beginning of a presentation and then switch to a trust building quickly. One more thing. We want someone not to just agree with us, but also take action and take action quickly. We do this through a mix of tension and hope. If you talk about the gap between where somebody is now and where they want to be in the future, it creates tension, low-level anxiety. Now, the more we play on that, the more the tension the audience will feel. Left in this state, they will just get angry in the end, but add an element of hope to show the steps of how somebody can get to that place in the future, they are ready to say yes to do it. This is why we don't want to come with only problems to the CMO. We want to come with the solution and the evidence that we can do it. Problem or opportunity plus solution plus evidence plus a step-by-step plan equals the green light of approval. So this is why we want to describe the opportunity of $1 million in revenue to our CMO, show the options of how we can make it happen, show the 3 ideas of how we will do it, show proof and evidence in terms of pilot tests, campaign results, etc., and show a step-by-step plan of how it will be done. At the end of the day, we are all the same. We're all ruled by our biology and emotions. Remember to use the potent duo of emotion and trust in your presentations. Build tension and use hope to not just reach, but profoundly move your audience towards action. Data can't talk for itself. It needs you to be its voice and to give it meaning and clarity. Presenting data is an inevitable part of middle management and beyond. When we share data, we want to create understanding, to provide facts or evidence, to reassure our audience that they are about to make a sound decision. In short, we are trying to remove risk from the minds of our audience. I'm going to show you how you can create a connection and inspire action when you present data to senior management. We're going to look at a method for ensuring that when we present data, we do it in a way that's effective and inspires action. So let's start. The most important thing to know is that our only job when presenting data is to reveal the meaning for our audience. That's it. We want to create clarity as fast as we can. There are 2 main ways in which we can do this: how we visualize it and how we tell its story. Let's take an example of a chart where we want to show the impact of customer testimonials on our ad spend, which is one of our key messages. When I put this chart up on the screen, you stop listening to me as the presenter, and you are trying to understand, what does this chart mean? What is it telling me? This is not good. Okay, now let's look at the same chart after we make 4 small changes. Now you can see the message much quicker. Revenue goes up from June because of testimonials. Marketing spend stays the same. Great. What are the changes? We changed the title of the chart to reflect our core message: impact of customer testimonials on new revenue. This is a powerful technique. We removed the CAC data from the set because it's not relevant to this message. This helps things become clearer. We also used color, gray and green, to highlight the before and after story. Now it's clear when we started using the testimonials. Finally, we edited the text at the bottom to be shorter with more clarity. Now let's add the story we will tell about the data by using the 3 basic tenets of every story ever told: setup, conflict, and resolution. Setup, I went for a walk. Conflict, I fell off the curb and hurt my ankle. Resolution, now I can't walk home. When we look at our second chart, the setup is the data before June in gray. It could be something like, our campaigns have been stable for a long time in terms of ROI. The conflict is the change that happens between May and June. We changed our ad creative to use customer testimonials. Then the resolution is, because of this, we increased revenues whilst keeping marketing spend the same. At the end of the day, we can create meaning in the minds of our audience by only showing the most important message and information and removing anything that is not relevant. We can use the basic tenets of story, the most powerful communication device we have, to make an emotional connection with our data. These two things, clarity and story, can make our audience see, believe, and feel what it is that we are trying to communicate. This is how we get people to make a decision. When you present your quarterly digital marketing update to the CMO, you can't tell her everything you know. It will just take too long. Besides, you have maybe 20 minutes with her and you want to be presenting for a maximum of 5 to 8 minutes and then listening or being in conversation for the rest of the time. But you do need to be prepared to talk about or present any part of it when asked. How can we build a presentation that allows you to give the important information, but also enables a tailored discussion that addresses their interests and concerns directly? Let's take a look at how you can use conversational presenting to have a genuine two-way conversation with your CMO. The idea with conversational presenting is that we create a flexible presentation where we can navigate to any part of it easily and quickly and then present. It has everything in it that we might need to present, but then we let the conversation decide in real time what it is we actually present. To do this, we need to give it a pyramid structure that encourages clarity as well as a logical flow on how the meeting might go. Remember what we said earlier about not burying the lead? Well, at the top of the pyramid, we start with our main message. We want to bring surprise and engagement at the outset. We give our most important information, our North Star message. This helps us to set a clear direction for the conversation that follows. The middle layer of the pyramid, we present our 3 key messages, our main arguments or supporting statements as to why the North Star message is correct. In this case, we'll give the 3 ideas for how we can secure an additional $1 million in revenue. This logical flow makes it easier for the audience to follow along and engage in the conversation. It also helps us distill the information into clear, concise points. This clarity is crucial in conversational presenting, where the goal is to create understanding and conversation without overwhelming the audience with too much information at once. At the bottom of the pyramid, we want to have evidence and proof for each of our 3 key messages in the form of data or research or results from pilot tests. The focus here is to build trust and minimize the risk in the mind of the CMO. This way of structuring the presentation maps to the 3 filters of revenue, risk, and cost, and will make it easier for you to use the presentation to have a conversation with the CMO and ask or answer any questions that might come up. Okay. When we're actually in the meeting, we will only present the first 2 sections, our North Star message and our 3 key ideas or arguments. Then we want to get into a conversation. You want to be asking for directions. Your CMO may want to dig deeper into one or more of the ideas to understand it better or to check if there is risk or not. This way, you can navigate to the content she asks about and present more. For example, after giving the North Star message, you might ask, given the significant potential for ROI improvement, what are your initial thoughts on exploring these strategies to protect and enhance our revenue next year? Or when talking through the 3 main ideas, you might ask questions like, how do you feel about leveraging customer-generated content more aggressively? Or are there any aspects of these strategies that you're particularly excited about or skeptical of? Conversational presenting transforms your quarterly update into a dynamic conversation with the CMO, making sure that your most important insights are shared succinctly with the room for deeper exploration based on her interests. This is a powerful way to help you be seen as a trusted advisor and to get your ideas for campaigns approved. Presenting without using a story-based narrative structure is like navigating the open sea without a compass. Both are a journey into the unknown. The 3-act structure is a well-proven communication device. It has engaged audiences in stories, movies, and plays for centuries, and you can use it to get your information across in a way that persuades. In this video, we'll take a look at how you can use it to structure the information in our presentation, making it easier for the CMO to grasp the value and urgency of each idea. There are 3 parts to it: the setup, the conflict, and the resolution. Act 1, the setup. This introduces the status quo, establishing the baseline of your story. Here, you present the initial scenario or problem, setting the stage for further development. This act is crucial for providing the audience with context and background. Act 2, the conflict. This raises the stakes by introducing challenges or obstacles that need to be overcome. It's the core of your narrative where tension builds and the audience becomes invested in the outcome. This act explores the struggles and efforts to address the problem introduced in Act 1. Act 3, the resolution, delivers the climax and the conclusion. It resolves the conflict, offering solutions or outcomes to the challenges faced. This act wraps up the narrative, leaving the audience with a clear understanding of how the problem was solved and what can be learned from the journey. By segmenting your presentation using this structure, you ensure each part plays a pivotal role in conveying your message, making it more compelling and memorable for the CMO. Here's how you can apply the 3-act structure to one of our key messages as an example. As a reminder, our first key message was to use customer testimonials and reviews as the ad copy for the campaigns. This is how we could tell its story. Act 1, the setup. We can highlight the current situation where we use product features and benefits in our ads. This works to a certain degree and is fairly stable in its results. Act 2, the conflict. It's been a real struggle to both engage dormant prospects as well as improve conversion rates. We've tried increasing spend, targeting different target segments, nothing made a difference to the ROI. Act 3, the resolution. Eventually, we asked ourselves, what is missing from the ad copy? And we decided to add the voice of our customers. We ran a pilot test and used a short video of a customer who saw huge success after using our product. It increased both conversions by 60% and converted 20% more dormant users. Then present the results from this test campaign in more detail, reinforcing the value of incorporating customer-generated content. Keep in mind the 3-act structure can be used for your whole presentation or a single message. This simple strategy is key to making any message resonate and stick. Okay, before we get deeper into creating our presentation, I want to pause and talk about AI and how we can use it. AI is most powerful when it has access to great data. When it comes to presentations and speeches, then anything language related, like copywriting or crafting persuasive messages, is one of the most powerful and effective ways to use AI today. I'm going to show you how to create messages for your presentation that have impact, are memorable, and persuasive for your audience using ChatGPT. The secret to getting the most out of ChatGPT is to tell it who to act as. Give it some expertise in order to help you. For example, first, we need to write some initial content or message. I'm going to use our existing North Star message from our presentation. So let's give it some context. Then let's give it the content. Now let's give it some expertise. Finally, let's give it an output. Okay, now let's see what we've got and use this as a starting point. I think by combining some of these, we can get something close to great. I like the 1 million blueprint and the unlock 40% ROI. So let's combine them into my presentation title message, Unlocking 40% plus ROI, a $1 million blueprint. Okay, next we can ask it to be an expert in storytelling and give us some suggestions for incorporating storytelling into how we start the presentation in the beginning. I like the idea of telling the story of the pivotal moment we discovered the unlock to improvement with ad spend ROI. Okay, you get the picture. To wrap this lesson up, we need to see ChatGPT as a powerful creative partner. It helps us fast track to good ideas and content. Even with its vast capabilities, it is only as good as the information you feed it and the creativity by which you guide it. ChatGPT can amplify your natural strengths, overcome time constraints and limitations to craft truly powerful and persuasive messaging. I encourage you to experiment with this in your next presentation or speech. Use the prompt that I outlined to help you get started. As a reminder, we want to give ChatGPT some context, content, expertise, and output. You can download the prompts in the exercise files for some ideas. We know from the field of neuroscience and biology that when you start presenting to your audience, they are almost certainly in a negative emotional state. Busy, stressed, too many things on their mind, pressure of work, problems at home, skepticism about you or your content. You get the picture. This is a terrible state of mind to experience your presentation. We need our audience to be in a receptive and positive emotional state. We want them to be curious and open, wanting to explore, to ask questions. I want to share with you how you can switch your audience from a negative to a positive emotional state. Surprise is the only emotion that can switch somebody's brain from a negative to a positive emotional state. We have 8 emotions. 5 of them are survival emotions: anger, fear, disgust, shame, and sadness. We spend most of our time in this survival emotional range because it keeps us safe. It's our fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms. We also have 2 attachments we call attachment emotions: joy and excitement, and love and trust. Surprise, which is the 8th emotion, has the power to switch our brains between those 2 states. When we experience surprise or novelty, our brains pay attention, it gets curious, and we want to learn more. By having an element of surprise in our presentation, especially in the opening moments, we can significantly enhance the person's receptiveness towards our content. Our North Star message can be a great way of doing this. We said we have found a way to protect $1 million of revenue. This is already packed with surprise for our CMO, and I'd argue is more than enough. But I want to share some other ideas. We could share an unexpected success story that seems unrelated at first, but cleverly ties back to our core messages. For example, we talk about an underdog sports team that achieved a victory against all odds. We say that the secret to their success was a strategy that mirrors the principles behind your ad content strategy. Second, we could use a dramatic data reveal. We do this already with our opening North Star message. We present the possibility of an additional $1 million in revenue. We then use this surprising data point as a springboard to introduce our 3 key messages. The third you can bring surprise is with visual shock. We could share a testimonial video saying that this video alone can protect $100,000 of revenue, or a visual of a leaky bucket representing lost opportunities. Surprise is a powerful emotion to bring out in our presentation. Make it relevant. Connect it to your North Star and key messages. Make it connect. It needs to be truly novel or surprising. And make it balanced. Follow up quickly with clear, concise information. Now that we know who it's for and what's it for, our next task is to understand what content we should put in our presentation that will actually meet our objectives. We can do that using the Feel, Think, Act method. This helps us clearly see the change we want to happen with our audience. We start by thinking about what our CMO might be feeling, thinking, and doing in connection to the topic of this meeting before we give your presentation. Maybe she feels concerned that the ROI of the campaign is not having an impact. Maybe she thinks that she needs to reduce costs and is considering an action of reducing your budget next year. Next, we write down what we want her to feel, think, and do after we give our presentation. Well, we want her to feel confident in the marketing activity and its ROI and committed to keeping the budget. We want her to think that the activity has a good ROI and that stopping activity will reduce revenues, and we want her to act to keep the budget as it is or to increase it. Okay, now we have a clear picture of who's it for, what's it for, and what content we need to get what we want from the meeting. Next, we list out possible content that helps us with our goal. It could be many things, but for our presentation, let's go with revenue analysis, ROI and performance metrics, forecasting, things like do nothing, optimize, increase spend, and optimization recommendations. We are looking for clarity here in terms of what is the most powerful information we need to put into our presentation in order to meet its objectives, to make the desired change happen. Okay, back to your document and your presentation. Spend some time thinking about how your audience feels, thinks, and acts, both before and after you present. Write down some ideas for content or data or visuals that will help you make the change happen. One more thing. The feel, think, act method can be used for many things, not just presentations. You can do this in 3 minutes on a piece of paper to plan what you might say at a meeting. It's a great tool for you to get clarity. When you present to the CMO, you want 2 main things to happen. First, that she sees you as a trusted advisor, which is great for your career. And second, that she greenlights your request, which in this case is keeping the budget next year. Our next task is to map our presentation content to how the CMO makes decisions. We want her to feel confident about greenlighting your ask. I'm going to take you through a common way that decisions get made in a lot of organizations and how you can think about presenting with that in mind. So there are a few things we need to know about how decisions get made. Somebody or a group of people identify a problem or an opportunity. Then they outline what the options are and how we can evaluate them. And then they make a decision based on what's the risk, revenue, and costs. Finally, we make recommendations for an execution roadmap. When you present to the CMO, you want her to feel that you have researched and thought through everything. You also want her to feel that she is not being forced into a single option or decision. When you build your presentation, you want to state the opportunity, be clear on the risks, rewards, and costs, give 2 or 3 options for how you could take advantage of it, show how you evaluated those options, make a recommendation for which one to proceed with and why, and outline an implementation plan with roles and responsibilities. We can also show how it affects revenue, risk, and costs. Let's walk through how we could do this in our presentation. We start with the opportunity, which is leveraging testimonial videos. Then we give some detail to the risks, rewards, and costs involved. Next, we look to share options and an evaluation. Afterwards, we move into our main recommendation and why it's the one we should choose. And then finally, we lay out our implementation approach, including costs and outcomes. By mapping your presentation with the decision-making process in this way, you position yourself as a trusted and strategic thinker in the eyes of the CMO and increase the likelihood that your plans will be greenlighted. You all know too well the feeling of sitting in a room that's too warm after lunch with a full tummy and watching the presenter slowly read out 20 slides with lots of text and bullet points. It's more snooze-inducing than engaging. Visual boredom that creates audience disengagement. Presentations are a visual medium and bullet points belong in the printed or written medium like documents. Bullet points can encourage reading from the slides rather than listening to the speaker, but we still do it. I'd argue that it's because for more than 30 years, PowerPoint has been showing us on every slide template this message of click to add text with a bullet point next to it. It's safe to say we've been conditioned. Ideally, we'd have no bullet points, but sometimes we need to show a list of things. I want to show you some really simple ways we can replace bullet points with visual elements that will improve the look and feel of your presentation, but also make it more engaging for your audience. Let's look at 3 alternatives to bullet points. All of these ideas are simple shapes that you can find inside whatever presentation software you'll be using. All of them only took me a few minutes. First up is just simply putting the text into a colored box. It takes about 5 minutes and instantly gives the slide more impact. Remember, if you have too much text, then it can start to look busy. So edit the text down to reduce it. Next is to insert a circle shape. and just drag it so it's only half of it showing on the slide. Then insert 3 lines with an arrow on the end and change the line to be a dashed line. I move the title to the circle. Again, lots of impact for very little effort. Third, and finally, is to use both circles, boxes, and add some icons. Again, all I did here was create the rectangle and have the fill color to be the same as the background. Then the outline of the box to be the yellow color. The yellow circle is just placed in front of the box using the bring to front function, and then I found 3 simple icons to put in the circle. So there you have it. Moving away from bullet points and exploring creative visual alternatives can truly breathe life and impact into your presentations, turning sleepy audiences into captivated listeners. It's a small change and a little time investment that can help make the presentation much more engaging. Ever found yourself zoning out during a presentation because the slides were filled with text? You're not alone. When we see a lot of text on a slide, we just read it really fast. Much faster than the presenter can talk about it. It's boring, it wastes both the time and attention of the audience, and ultimately it means the presenter's messages don't get communicated well. The message, however important, gets lost in a sea of words. Now imagine if each slide was a clear, compelling message that guided the audience through the story. That's the power of editing. Less is more when it comes to presentation slides. Think of your slides as billboards along the highway. You have a brief moment to capture your audience's attention. Make it count. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to refine your presentation slides for maximum clarity and impact. There are many things you can do to make your text shorter, more impactful, and more engaging. Draft, then design. Never write straight into a PowerPoint slide. Begin by drafting your content in our script document. Then edit it down to the core essence of the message. Only then do you paste the text into PowerPoint, ensuring each slide is impactful and clutter-free. You want to aim for 4 or 5 words per slide. I'd argue 1 point per slide, but definitely a maximum of 3 points per slide. Remember, it's always better to have the content split over 4 slides versus 1. This not only makes it easier for the audience to pay attention to you, it also maps how our attention spans work. Movement is the gateway to attention, and having a slide on the screen for too long is a fast way to lose them. The movement of switching slides spikes dopamine and keeps people paying attention. Another way to tackle this is to use ChatGPT to help you. A prompt could be, act as a presentation expert and copywriting expert and reduce the following text that will be on a slide to its core essence to get across the message. Please give 3 options. Next, remember that presentations are a visual medium. Visualize the core message you're trying to get across. Use icons, images, or GIFs to do this. Finally, as a bonus tip, use animation to bring up each text message at a time. This helps to control the audience's attention and keep people focused on you as the presenter. By refining your slides to deliver concise, visually engaging content, you elevate your presentation from mere information sharing to a compelling narrative journey. Embrace these strategies to ensure your message not only resonates, but captivates, keeping your audience focused and eager for more. Have you ever found yourself lost in a sea of text and numbers during a presentation, when suddenly the speaker uses a striking image to make their point and it all just becomes clear? Visual metaphors are like shortcuts for the brain. They use pictures to explain big ideas in a way that sticks with us, making complicated things simpler and more relatable. Imagine turning a complex concept into an image or a scene from everyday life. Suddenly, it becomes easier to understand and remember. It's a superpower for sharing ideas that makes sure what you say doesn't just fly over people's heads, but really lands and stays there. Visual metaphors represent ideas or concepts, making them more relatable and easy to understand. They bridge the gap between the familiar and the unknown, simplifying complex information. For example, to illustrate growth in ad spend return on investment is the image of a baby tree sapling growing into a huge oak tree. This metaphor, whilst often overused, is a simple metaphor that not only captures the essence of growth, but also emphasizes the potential long-term yield from a well-nurtured beginning. Selecting the right metaphor involves understanding your key message and the common experiences or knowledge shared by your audience. The metaphor should illuminate, not complicate your point. Let's look at our quarterly digital marketing update presentation. Our key message is protecting $1 million of revenue. We want our CMO to feel both safe that the money can be protected and excited that it's a significant amount. Instead of delving into technical jargon or data or numbers, we can display an image of a man holding a lock, strong, impenetrable, and reliable. This connects to money and revenue as well as protection. It's a great fit for a visual metaphor. The visual metaphor instantly conveys the concept of safety, security, and trustworthiness, making the topic accessible and memorable. We want the CMO to remember that you can help make $1 million safe and secure for the company. When we add it to our presentation, we want it to be subtle and not too obvious. Once I've chosen the image, I put it on the slide, we can make it 70 to 80% transparent, so our message of $1 million remains the hero, but the subtle message of the safe and secure is there. Visual metaphors are a powerful tool in making your presentations not just seen, but also felt and remembered. They simplify complex concepts, making them more relatable and memorable. Now, take this knowledge and look at your presentation through the lens of visual metaphors. What images come to mind when you consider your key messages? To get you started, I've created a library of metaphors that you can download in the exercise files. Imagine you're climbing a steep hill. Your legs are burning. You're out of breath. And just when you think you can't go any further, you reach a flat stretch. You catch your breath, take in the scenery, regain your energy, and brace yourself for what's next. In the world of presentations, breather slides are that flat stretch. They're your audience's moment to catch their breath and process what they've just been told. But here's the issue. Most presentations are a relentless uphill climb, packed with data, ideas, and arguments, without that crucial resting spot. The result? Overwhelmed and disengaged audiences. So think about the power of a pause. A breather slide is a strategically placed within your presentation to give your audience a moment of relief from a continuous flow of information. It can be a simple image, a quote, a question, or even a blank slide. My personal preference is for a blank slide with just your logo in the middle. This really gives a sense of pause, of stillness. If you pause your talking as well for 2 seconds and then say something like, I covered a lot just now. How's all that sitting with you? What questions do you have for me? By the way, as an aside, try not to ask, do you have any questions, as it's a closed yes or no answer. By switching to what questions do you have for me, it will stimulate more conversation. Then give some space for people to talk. Resist the temptation to move on if no one speaks immediately. Have the confidence to keep the silence for more than a couple of seconds. It takes time for people to think of questions or to gather their thoughts. If no one talks after 5 seconds, you can say, I want to give people the time to discuss this. Anyone wants to start us off? And then go quiet again. If after another few seconds still no one has spoken, then move on. If you are nervous and have a habit of talking too fast, the breather slide is also super powerful at enabling you to reset and take a breather. Start off slow when you talk after the breather slide. Also, use this pause to take a sip of water if you need. The other option you could have on a breather slide is to have your North Star message on it. This is a smart way to use repetition to make it sticky with your audience. Think about the presentation you want to create. Where could you incorporate a breather slide? Take this knowledge and see how you can integrate these powerful pauses to make your presentations unforgettable. It's natural that you will feel nervous before presenting to your CMO or colleagues, but that anxiety will not help you radiate confidence to make people feel what it is that you're telling them. Even if you have great content, the message can fail to land if you are too nervous, speak too fast, or get mixed up. If we want the CMO to greenlight our ideas and requests, then we need to focus on how to give a strong, confident, and persuasive delivery. Stage presence, the ability to command a room, or charisma, really comes down to, can you project a calm confidence with passionate energy? Now, I want to focus on 3 things that can help you do exactly that. How you use your emotion, how you use your body, and how you use your voice. Before we start though, I want to reiterate the 3 P's of giving a great presentation. Practice, practice, and yes, you've guessed it, practice. If you haven't practiced your presentation at least 8 times, then it's going to be much harder to give a presentation that is confident, persuasive, and positions you as a trusted advisor. With that in mind, and as a solid foundation, let's move on to how we can have a strong stage presence. Number 1 is emotion, which is about how to channel your excitement and passion. In the 5 to 10 minutes before you present, start to focus on and dial up in your mind your reason for being excited about this presentation and its outcome, as well as your passion for why this needs to happen. If you have the ability to be on your own somewhere, listen to music or jump around to help you build the energy. This helps get rid of nervous energy as well as pump you up. You want to be at a 12 out of 10 state of mind in terms of energy. This gives you an amazing state of mind that is confident, calm, and yet passionate, which the audience will pick up on. Next is your body language. You want to be looking relaxed and stable, feet apart, shoulders up, chin up, open hands, no arms crossed, no hands behind our back. You want to reach out with your hand gestures to make the distance between you and your audience seem smaller, to make a connection. Finally, smile when you're talking really goes a long way to communicating passion and excitement and confidence. What about our voices? Well, don't speak too fast. Speaking fast is a sign of nerves. So slow down, take your time, and speak clearly. If you feel like you're speeding up, which is a common thing with nerves, force yourself to slow down by stopping at the end of a section and asking questions, or to make sure everyone understands what you just said. Breather slides are great for this. Finally, don't speak quietly. Remember to raise your voice 20% more than your normal level. This small change will make it more confident and clearer, and should also eliminate filler words. To wrap up, if you want to project confidence and persuade your audience, then you need more than great content. You need a calm voice, open body language, and real feeling. Practice a lot. This way, you'll speak clearly, look confident, and connect with people, making your ideas shine. Picture this. You have just finished giving your presentation. It went well. And you ask if anybody has any questions. You relax. It feels like the finish line, but it's not. If you get a tough question that you weren't expecting or not prepared to answer, it can undo all of your hard work. Q&A is a really important part of presenting your quarterly update to the CMO. This is how she reduces risk in her mind and grows her confidence in giving you the green light in terms of budget. The secret to doing well in Q&A, like so many things in being a great presenter, is planning and practicing in advance. This video will show you how to plan for the questions you get from your CMO and how you can prepare answers that instill confidence, position you as a trusted advisor, and get your requests approved. Okay, let's get into it. We need to do 3 things. Brainstorm what questions might be asked, prepare clear, persuasive answers for them, and practice giving them. To brainstorm ideas on what questions might be asked, there are a number of things that we can do. Open a document and start writing all the likely questions based on the content of the presentation and what you know about the CMO into the document. Also, ask other people who have presented to her what type of questions were asked. If this is your first time presenting to her and it's somebody you might present to again and again, Keep a document or a question bank that is a record of questions she asks. Start to recognize the patterns. For example, you might get questions like, how will we measure the success of these strategies? Or what key performance indicators should we focus on? Or can the success stories you mentioned be replicated across other segments or products? You get the picture. Okay, so how do we answer in a way that is succinct, clear, and will enable the CMO to be happy? Begin each answer with a short summary sentence that directly addresses the question. This helps ensure clarity and sets the tone for the details that follow. It usually helps to repeat the question as well. Next, we want to use the what, why, and how structure. What? Briefly describe what your strategy or solution is. Why? Explain why it's important or beneficial, focusing on the value it adds or the problem it solves. How? Give a brief overview of how it will be implemented or how it addresses the CMO's concern. Okay, so let's use an example question we might get asked from our CMO. Something like, how will we measure the success of these strategies? Our answer could sound like, we'll use specific KPIs such as conversion rates and customer engagement levels to gauge success. By aligning these metrics with our overall revenue goals, we'll ensure a focused approach. For instance, increased social media engagement with customer testimonial campaigns will directly correlate with higher conversion rates. We're prepared to adjust our strategies based on real-time data, ensuring we remain on track to meet our objectives confidently. Now, all that remains is to practice the answers a few times each and make sure they're in your words. Then, when we get asked, it will come across naturally. Remember that the Q&A isn't just a formality, it's your golden chance to solidify the impact of your presentation and make a lasting impression on your CMO. By anticipating questions, crafting thoughtful answers, and practicing until they feel natural, you're not just preparing to respond, you're setting the stage to further showcase your expertise and insight. So make time for preparation. Keep your responses clear and concise, and let your passion and knowledge do the talking. This way, you'll turn every question into an opportunity to strengthen your case and edge closer to that green light.